It was at night when Jungkook finally came home, tired and utterly exhausted. The moment he opened the door, his eyes immediately fell on Wayne, asleep on the couch. Obviously, she had been waiting for him again. It had almost become her nightly routine. He had told her countless times not to wait up for her, but she never listened. A little stubborn, he thought, a faint smile curving his lips as he quietly closed the door behind him. Jungkook's gaze softened as he walked closer to her, her sleeping face so innocent, so peaceful. Somehow made all the exertion fade away in an instant. He crouched down beside the couch, his eyes drinking in every delicate feature of her face, the slow rhythm of her breathing, the faint rise and fall of her chest. Everything about her felt so calm. Just watching her sleeping made his heart flutter in a way he could never admit out loud. It had been 2 months since their marriage, an arranged one, but Jungkook couldn't deny the truth anymore. This house had started to feel like home, and it was only because of her. His hand reached out on his own, fingertips brushing against her cheek. He kissed her softly, tracing the shape of her face, the curve of her lips, his thumb lingering there, brushing gently against her. He didn't deny the thought that crossed his mind that in this quiet, dimly moment he wanted to kiss her, but only he knew how much effort it took to control himself. For the past few days, Jungkook had buried himself in work. The project he had leading was crucial, demanding every bit of attention. But now, sitting here looking at her peaceful face, all the stress melted away. His thumb continued to move softly, caressing her lips again before drifting back to her cheek. And right then, Wine's eyelashes fluttered open. At first, her version was blurry. Then she saw him, Jungkook, crouched down right in front of her, gently touching her face. Her heart skipped a beat, her breath catching at the closeness between them. Quickly she straightened up. First, Jungkook didn't move right away. He stood up casually as if nothing had happened. "You came?" she said softly, her voice trembling a little. "Why didn't you wake me up?" She spoke quickly, trying to hide her nervousness. Jungkook smiled faintly, watching her puzzle. She always got nervous when he was too close, always shy, always blushing, and somehow it was enough to make him lose control of his compass every time. "Did you have dinner?" he asked gently, his tone calm but low. "Or did you just fall asleep, waiting for me again?" One lowered her gaze for a moment before looking back up. "We can eat together, right?" she asked shyly. That innocent question made Jungkook smile. He nodded. "Yeah," he said softly. "Let me just freshen up first." She nodded quickly and began walking away towards the kitchen. Jungkook watched her retreating figure in silence, her small step, her slightly flustered posture. Then, unable to hold back the faint grin tugging at his lip, he mumbled to himself, "Cute," and with that he turned and headed to his room. They sat across from each other at the dining table, quietly eating. The silence between them wasn't awkward, it was calm, peaceful, filled with the soft clinking of cutlery and the faint hum of the night outside. Yet one's mind was far from peaceful. She kept glancing at her plate, her thought drifting elsewhere. Jungkook noticed. "Why aren't you eating?" he asked suddenly, his voice calm, casual, that deep tone of his carrying a faint hint of concern. "Are you okay?" One looked up from her plate, startled, and quickly shook her head. "Yeah, I'm fine." But she wasn't. Her mind was lost somewhere, far from that dining table. Tomorrow. Tomorrow was her birthday, her first one after the marriage. And for the first time in years, she wanted to celebrate it with him. As she quickly thought about it, Jungkook's phone buzzed on the table, breaking her thoughts. One flinched slightly at the sudden sound. Jungkook picked up the phone almost instantly, his expression shifting into the cold, composed one he wore whenever he talked business. "Yeah," he said, his tone deep and firm. "Prepare the file I gave you this morning and make sure there are no mistakes." Wan sat there silently, her eyes fixed on him. Watching his serious face, the way his voice turned sharp and commanding. "Okay," he continued. "Set the meeting for tomorrow. I want every single thing handled properly. I don't want even one mistake." His voice echoed in her ears. "Meeting tomorrow." Her heart sank. He didn't know. He didn't know tomorrow was her birthday. Isn't it obvious? It had only been 2 months since their arranged marriage. How could he possibly know tomorrow is her birthday? Jungkook's cold voice pulled her out of her thought again. "All right," he said. "I'll check the emails myself." Wan sighed softly, looking down at her plate again. Wan is an orphan. She had grown up without anyone by her side. No family, no warmth, no birthday celebration like everyone else had. She looked up again. Jungkook was now staring at his phone, his jaw clenched, eyes scanning through work emails. Wan's chest tightened. She already knew about his project. She knew how important this project was, how much pressure he was under. That deal meant everything to him. She forced a tiny smile to herself and whispered softly under her breath, "It's okay. Maybe next year we'll celebrate together." A few minutes passed in silence before she finally spoke. "How's the project going, Jungkook?" she asked gently. Her voice pulled him back from his work. He looked up, eyes meeting hers. He set his phone down, giving her his full attention. "It's going fine," he said in a calm, low tone. "We are finalize the deal tomorrow. Just hoping no one makes any mistake in the meeting." One smiled softly. "Don't worry," she said quietly. "Everything will go well." Jungkook looked at her for a brief moment, her soft smile, her gentle voice, and then, almost unconsciously, he smiled back. "Yeah," he mumbled, "I hope so." The night went on, calm and quiet again. Only one's heart wasn't quiet. It carried a small edge, the one only she knew. The morning sunlight fluttered softly through the curtain, painting the room in a faint golden hue. One's eyes fluttered open. Still heavy with sleep, she rubbed her eyes slowly, trying to blink away the dullness. When her vision cleared, her gaze instinctively shifted to the other side of the bed, and there he was. Jungkook stood in front of the mirror, already dressed for the office. His striped fabric of his suit hugged his frame perfectly, his hair styled neatly, his face calm and unreadable as always. Just then he caught her sleepy reflection in the mirror. Their eyes met briefly, and his deep voice broke the quiet morning. "Good morning," he said softly, his tone low, steady, yet carrying that effortless authority that always makes her heart skip. One's voice came out small, still lazy with sleep. "Morning." She slowly sat up, her eyelids still heavy. Jungkook turned around, watching her with a faint smile tugging at the corner of his lip. He chuckled quietly. "I'm heading to the office now." Wan only nodded, still half lost in sleep. Then unexpectedly Jungkook walked towards her. He sat down beside her on the edge of the bed. Wan blinked up at him with her innocent, questioning eyes, and before she could say a word, Jungkook leaned in, his lips brushed against her Wan's eyes widened, her sleepiness vanished instantly. Her heart began to race so fast she was sure he could hear it. Jungkook's hand rose, cupping her cheek as his lip moved softly against her. Slow and tender, instinctively Wan's eyes fluttered close. Then Jungkook finally pulled away. Wan opened her eyes slowly, her chest rising and falling with each uneven breath. Jungkook chuckled lowly, his gaze lingering on her flustered face. This, he mumbled, voice dropping into a husky whisper, is my lucky charm for today. And with that he stood up and left without another word, leaving Wine froze in place, her heart still trembling, mind spinning from what had just happened. Jungkook was in his office. Across from him stood his assistant, Taehyung, reading out the day's schedule and upcoming meetings in his usual professional tone. Everything is ready, sir, Taehyung said, glancing down at the tablet in his hand. The presentation slides are finalized, and the clients have already arrived. The meeting will begin in 15 minutes. Jago nodded slightly, not looking up from the file he was reviewing. Taehyung bowed politely before leaving the room. After a while, Jungkook's phone rang. He glanced at it and immediately frowned, letting out an irritated sigh. It was his best friend, Sana. Today was Sana's birthday. For the past few days, she had been calling him non-stop, insisting him come to her party. But Jungkook had already said no. He had never liked Sana. Her clingy behavior, her flirty tone annoyed him. The thought of attending her party made his patience wear thin. With a sharp swipe, he cut the call and set his phone to silent. Jungkook stood, straightened his coat and walked towards the meeting room. Jungkook sat in the meeting room, his dark eyes fixed sharply on the presentation board. His cold, commanding aura made everyone present shiver. Even the most confident employees felt a chill run down their spine. They all knew that one mistake in front of him could cost them their jobs. Midway through the meeting, Jungkook's phone buzzed silently on the table. Even on silent, he noticed it. He glanced at the screen and saw the name, Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee, Sana's father. Her father and Jungkook's father had been close friends and business partners. Jungkook already knew why Mr. Lee was calling him now, but he couldn't answer it middle of the meeting. With an irritated sigh, he flipped the phone upside down and returned his focus to the presentation. By around 6, the meeting finally ended. It had gone exceptionally well, and the deal was signed. He had poured endless effort into this project. As he was heading to his office, his phone buzzed again. He stopped abruptly, pulling it out. Once more it was Sana. With a resigned sigh, he answered. Sana, he said, his voice low, cold. If I didn't pick up your call, you should understand that I was busy. On the other hand, a almost sweet voice come through. I know, but today's my birthday. I just want you to come to my birthday party. I already told you no. I can't. Jacob replied in a clipped tone. I'm busy right now. Sana's tone shifted to fake sadness. I know you are busy, but please, even Dad insisted so much that he wanted to see you. Jungkook's jaw clenched. He didn't want to go. All he wanted was to go home and spend time with Wine. The past few weeks of this project had barely left him a moment with her. After a long sigh, he said, his tone still icy, I'll try, but I can't promise. Without giving her a chance to respond, he cut the call on her face. Jungkook stood there for a moment, froze in place. His mind was clouded. After a long exhale, he glanced down at his phone again and dialed Wan's number. The call rang twice before she picked up. Her soft voice came through the receive. Yes, Jungkook? What are you doing? His voice was deep and low. Nothing. One replied, throwing slightly. Why? Jungkook's voice dropped even lower. Actually, I'll be late today. It's Sana's birthday today. She asked me to come to her party, so I'm going there. On the other end, silence filled the line. One didn't speak for several seconds. Jungkook could sense it. He sighed softly. It's okay if you don't want me to go, he said, his voice soft this time. Wang quickly interrupted. No, it's okay, he said, forcing a small smile he couldn't see. She is your friend, you should go. A pang of guilt washed through Jungkook. He didn't want to go. Alright, he muttered with a sigh. Don't wait for me too long. Eat and sleep on time, okay? I'll come back early. Okay, she whispered before cutting the call. The moment the call ended, her hand tightened around the phone. Her thought felt heavy, her eyes glistening as tears slowly welled up. A quiet ache spread through her chest. She thought bitterly, today was my birthday too, and just like every year, it seems no one would celebrate it for me. With a trembling breath, one sigh. Jungkook stepped into the party hall. His face was cold, hard, and unreadable. He began to walk inside. That's when Sana, who immediately noticed him, came towards him and said, Finally you came. Jungkook didn't respond for long. With a cold expression, he said, Happy birthday. Sana nodded politely. Thank you so much. Just then, Mr. Lee approached them. Jungkook, dear, you came, he said cheerfully. Jungkook nodded and replied in a deep, low voice, How are you, uncle? Mr. Lee smiled. Fine, son. How is your dad? He's fine too. Jungkook answered shortly. Thank you for coming to my daughter's birthday party, Mr. Lee said again, his tone warm. Jungkook just nodded. You two talk, I'll go over there. Mr. Lee added, then walked away. Now it was just Jungkook and Sana. Sana turned to him, forcing her usual fake, clingy smile, and said, It's been a long time since we saw each other. Jungkook simply hummed and casually took out his phone, scrolling through it. Then Sana, again with a smiley face, said, How is your married life going? Honestly, I never thought you had married one. I mean, she is, you know. But Jungkook was still looking at his phone, not paying any attention to her words. He frowned when a message came. It was from his mother. Do you take one somewhere? Are you guys outside? He quickly replied, No, I came somewhere. Why? Another message arrived. What? Today is one's birthday and you didn't take her outside? Jungkook froze. His heart stopped for a moment. A slight tremor running through him. He started to shake slightly. Today it's one's birthday. Sana's voice interrupted his thought. You know I always... But Jungkook cut her off immediately, his voice cold. I'm leaving. Sana frowned, her smile vanishing. Confused, she tried to protest. But you just came. Why? Jungkook didn't let her finish. Coldly, he said, I have some important work, and turned on his heel. Without another word, he left the party, leaving Sana standing there, her fist clenched in frustration. Jungkook was now in his car. He sat behind the steering wheel, gripping it so tightly that his knuckles turned white. He drove as fast as he could, the engine roared beneath him. On the speakerphone, his assistant Taehoong's voice came through. I'll give you a list. Prepare everything and bring it to my house in 10 minutes. Jungkook said, his voice cold and clipped. Understood, sir. I'll prepare everything. He replied, Jungkook ended the call abruptly. His mind was filled with regret and guilt. Today was her birthday and I didn't even know, he whispered to himself, his voice barely audible over the roar of the engine. The regret, the guilt, they washed over him, second by second, tightened in his chest with every passing moment. Wine was in her room when suddenly the lights went off. She flinched and immediately sat up on the bed, her heart racing. Just then the door creaked open. Wine froze. She was alone in the house, and a tall figure stepped inside holding a cake, the faint light candlelight emulating his face. It was Jungkook. Her heart almost stopped. Isn't he at the party? She thought in disbelief. Jungkook slowly approached her. One's innocent eyes stared at him, unsure of what was happening. Then his deep, husky voice broke the silence. Happy birthday, sweetheart, he said softly. One's heart raced. Just then the light flickered back on. She looked at the cake, then back at him. How did you know? She whispered. Jungkook smiled but didn't answer her question. Instead, he said in a deep voice, let's cut the cake first. He guided her gently to the couch and they began to cut the cake together. Afterwards, Jungkook spoke softly. I'm sorry, I didn't know today was your birthday. Actually, mom messaged me. That's when I found out. Wan smiled gently. It's okay, she replied. It's just 2 months into our marriage. It's obvious. You didn't even know my birthday. She smiled again. Even I didn't even know when your birthday is, she said, a little teasing. Jungkook's lip curved into a soft smile. Still, I should know. He mumbled, come with me, I have a surprise for you. Wan frowned in curiosity and he led her outside. When she stepped onto the rooftop, her breath caught. The entire space was decorated beautifully, every detail perfect. Her eyes welled up. She had never celebrated a birthday before, never even cut a cake, and now it felt like a dream. She turned to Jungkook, her eyes shining with emotion. How did you? Her words fluttered. Jungkook placed a palm gently on her cheek. The best for you, he said softly, one smile through her tears. Do you like it? Jungkook asked. She nodded, unable to speak, tears still glistening in her eyes. After a moment, she whispered softly, but how did you plan all this in such a short time? Jungkook smirked teasingly. I have my ways. Wan looked at him with a soft smile. Thank you so much. Then she glanced around the decoration, feeling overwhelmed with happiness. You know, this is my first birthday I ever celebrated. In childhood, I never celebrated my birthday ever. Now it feels like a dream. A wave of guilt washed over Jungkook. It was her first birthday and I didn't even know. Wan turned to him again, tears sparkling in her eyes. Thank you so much, she whispered. Jungkook leaned closer, smirking. I don't want your thanks. I want something else. Wan frowned. What? She asked softly. Jungkook wrapped his arms around her waist and pulled her closer to his chest. Wan's hand instinctively rested on his shoulder, her eyes widening. Jungkook pressed his lips to hers. Wan was taken completely off guard. He kissed her softly at first, moving gently against her lips. Slowly, she closed her eyes and kissed him back. Jungkook smiled, then he pulled her more closer and deepened the kiss. Eventually, he pulled back the kiss. This is my thank you, he murmured. Wan smiled softly. Tomorrow, Jungkook continued, his voice soft but firm. I'm holding a big birthday party for you. Wan quickly said, it's not needed. But I want to. He cut her off, smiling down at her. Tears filled her eyes again. Everything was new, everything was overwhelming. but the peace and love she felt in that moment made her feel complete.